Hi, welcome to Geek Talk. I'm here with Nick from Pathfinder.
Hey.
He's our local Pathfinder adventure
captain
He
thing.
got promoted.
I did, but we can talk about that later.
Oh, okay. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Pathfinder. It's a classic tabletop role-playing game where you have people, and the difference between it and a lot of games is you actually socialize and you have to talk to each other. It's great. It's one of those things that I've done for, I'm 48. I've been gaming since I was 11.
Ooh.
So 37 years.
We started at the same age.
Yeah.
A couple years apart, but
probably. Yeah, we went to different high schools together at different times. But it's one of those things that is so flexible. I play with my children. I have a 10-year-old and 12-year-old, and I run it at home. Just to keep them, get them to the table, get them away from their computers, and interacting with me and my wife.
Absolutely.
And so we play as a family, but also in your communities, there's the Pathfinder Society, which he'll talk to us a little bit about and explain that, where you can go and join and meet other people that play and get out of your house, get away from the screen, and roll some dice and make bad decisions. That's my life motto.
I dig. Yeah, Pathfinder, really great game. At its core, it's a storytelling game. You get to get together with you and a group of friends, or sometimes strangers, whatever you want to do, and just tell a really cool story. It's kind of your classic fantasy adventure game. People familiar with Dungeons and Dragons and everything, you're pretty much on point.
You said the D&D word.
I said the D&D word.
See, I was avoiding that.
I was avoiding that. No, it kind of builds off of that. There are a lot of role-playing games out there available for people in all kinds of settings. If people want to tell space stories, if people want to tell stories about prehistoric man, there's all kinds of great stuff.
Prehistoric man game?
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to tell me about that.
Oh, dude, totally. So Pathfinder is just one of many, but it's definitely kind of taken over the fantasy genre.
Well, that's one of the big things with it is as computer gaming has really proliferated. There's the word I'm looking for. Tabletop gaming kind of went down a little bit for a while, but the Pathfinder, the Paizo people came up with the idea of society.
Yeah.
And that really, because gaming groups, as we've all gotten older and we've moved away from each other, sometimes it's hard to find a game.
Yeah.
And society, tell us a little bit about that, how that works.
So Pathfinder Society is the organized play system built by Paizo, and what we do is we offer the opportunity to get together once or multiple times a week, depending on your area, get together and just play Pathfinder. The really cool thing about it is that the adventures are really self-contained. You can finish one in about 4 to 6 hours, so you're not having to devote yourself to something super long. I know some people might find 4 to 6 hours a little daunting, but it flies by really fast.
It does.
Because you're all just hanging out and having a good time. And it allows you to connect with your community, find other people playing this game, having a good time, people interested in your same stuff. It's pretty much the equivalent of joining a club, but this is way more fun.
and the upside, one of the things that I found is, because like I said, I'm a father, I've got, my wife works all day, so when I get home, sometimes I can't make games on Thursday. Actually, I've missed several. But the advantage is, even if I miss 2 months and I get up there's always going to be a game in my level, and it's that flexible. Back in the old days when we would play, you had 5 or 6 people sitting around a table.
Yeah.
And if one guy just didn't show up the next time, what do? You're in the middle of a dungeon, your characters, where did that guy go? But Pathfinder, that 4 to 6 hours, basically you get a mission, your group comes together, you complete the mission, and y'all can stay together and play next week if all the same people show up. Or
Absolutely.
you can bring in a new character or start a new group.
Yeah, one of the really awesome benefits of Pathfinder Society specifically is we here in Fayetteville, we're a military town. We've got Fort Bragg right next to us, and I have a lot of military players. I got a lot of guys in the Army coming in wanting to play, and they could get orders at any time to move. And that happens to us. We have a very fluid population here. But one of the cool things for those guys is if they end up getting orders to move up to Washington, or they're going to go up to the Pentagon or something, there are Pathfinder Society groups everywhere. So they can take that same character they've been playing here, take it over there, and keep playing it. All the same gear, all the same stuff, all the same things they remember, just keep going. And the cool thing is if they eventually come back, which we've actually had a couple people move away and come back, they can come back and go, hey, I've gotten all this cool stuff since I've been gone, and they keep going. So certainly the ability to miss games if your schedule doesn't lend well to it, or if you have to move suddenly, Society is there for you. And it's a really big draw of the game.
Yeah, and one of the thing that I found most interesting is when I joined your group, there was a lot of older players, people that have been there for a while, but we've had like high school kids and younger kids join us. And the advantage is, that they come in and it's structured enough, and there's enough veteran players to kind of help them get their characters right, keep them right, and move forward.
Yeah, it's definitely a community of people wanting to help each other out, teach each other the game. You speak about the kids we've had. We've had players as young as 8 in the group. Actually, before you came along, there was a father-daughter duo who would come in every week. They would never miss a game. Really awesome people. He played a paladin, she played a ranger. It was a good time. So it's an opportunity for you to meet anyone of any age range. We actually used to have a group of high school kids that they went to junior high together, split up for high school, and so they would meet back up through Pathfinder Society. So that was really cool. So not only is it an opportunity to play a game, it's an opportunity to reconnect with people you might know or meet new people.
Yeah. Years ago, I took a job in D.C. and I got up there and I could not find a game. But that was before Society came into play. So that kind of thing would have been so much. I'd probably still be in DC if I could have found a game. It was like, well, I'm going home because I can't find anybody to play with.
Yeah, actually, that's exactly how I got involved. I had been living out here for about a year, and I was like, okay, I'm really tired of not playing anything. I need something, and I found out about this Society thing. Got in touch with my local guy, and I've been here ever since.
One of the things they do have now, and I don't think you brought any of that with you today, but the card game.
Oh, yes.
I see it, and I'm fascinated by it, but now, again, it's Tuesday night, so it's the night my wife has to tutor, so I don't get to get up there. Yeah. But I'm trying to get the students here on campus because I think that kind of fluidity where they don't have, they can just play that, and then it's done. And
So Paizo went on to work on a card game, the Pathfinder Adventure card game. They've done a couple of sets now. The newest set, each one is based off of some of their previous product lines.
Like the Adventure Paths?
The Adventure Paths, which are large pre-written campaigns for GMs that game masters.
That's the one I was trying to remember earlier. We were talking before, and I was like, Adventure Path, and
yeah. So they're pre-written adventures to take your party months to go through. So if you've got a regular gaming group and you're a game master just looking for something to run, or you're new to it, they're a really good resource to check out. But the card game, what they've done is each set, they've themed them after adventure paths that they've done. The most recent one is Mummy's Mask, which is a really neat, like Egyptian-themed adventure. And so the card game is a really nice self-contained card game. Everything in the box is there for you. And those games can be pretty quick. You can finish them in about half an hour.
That's cool.
I've had some take fairly long, but that's it depends.
But see, that's the cool thing with this. It's playing Monopoly or playing a standard board game, you always have sort of limited expectations of what's going to happen. Someone's going to win, someone's going to lose. But when you sit down at a Pathfinder table, the goal is everybody wins.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's collaborative, and you have that sense of adventure.
Yeah, certainly with the card game specifically, the entire table of players are all working together to beat the game. There is no this player won, everyone else lost. The group wins or loses as a group, which makes a lot of really unique opportunities. And it's certainly a really good way, I've found at least, to get non-board gamers into board games. Show them a good cooperative game where they're not competing with someone and they're on board.
Yeah. I mean, when I first heard about it, I thought it was a really cool bridge between, there's Magic the Gathering, which is a classic card game now. It's been around for a long time. And that basically took the gaming world by storm. TSR put out a comparable game called Spellcraft, I think, but it didn't really take off. But Magic's been around for a long time, so a lot of people, they transitioned from Pokemon to Yu-Gi-Oh to Magic. And so the idea of making that leap from card player to tabletop, where you're really vested in the character, where you're really interested, and you have concepts and ideas, and where you can put your own feelings into the character. Whereas like a Magic deck, you really can't.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But that Paizo card game, I think could really bridge that gap, and get them seeing, oh well, I can. What if I could say the character is going to look like this or do this happen? That kind of thing.
I've certainly found that the card game creates a really interesting bridge for people not really interested in the role playing game, and that's fine. There are different game types for different people. There are a lot of people I've worked with at conventions that they're not so big into the role-playing game, but once they were introduced to the card game, they were hooked. Because Pathfinder has some really interesting storyline stuff going on, and you get to explore that in the card game as well. And they're super into that, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and well, the modules do too. I'm still sort of recovering from my encounter with Mrs. Flowers, but let's not even go there. That was a weird night in my neighborhood. But now, you said something earlier about Paizo's got another Humble Bundle.
Humble Bundle.
That thing, right there.
Yeah, I'm going to be really honest. I'm not sure if it's still going. I haven't checked lately. I'm really bad at this.
But they do it every once in a while.
Every once in a while, yeah. This most recent one, I believe, has been themed after the comic book series that they're doing. Yeah, so comic book geeks out there, there's a Pathfinder series that's a lot of fun.
What's really cool is with that, in the back of the books, they have stats for the characters like Red Sonja and all that.
Yeah.
And I was blown away with that. Years ago, there was a game called Villains Vigilantes, and they put out, it was a superhero game, and they put out a series of books, and in the back were all the rules for the characters. And I was always like, this is a great idea. Now, of course, they went sideways because, companies come and go, but Paizo's been around for a long time now, and when they started doing this, I said, this is what they should be doing. You get the comic and you've got, a character in the back, or you have a new monster in the back, or you have a mini dungeon in the back. You have something, that takes this to the next level.
Yeah, and actually the really cool thing about the current storyline in the comic books, they're being written by Paizo staff.
Oh, that's cool.
So you've got the guys who actually know what it is that they're talking about when it comes to the lore of Pathfinder, doing these comics. And so it's not just some comic book writer who's interested in it but doesn't know everything or isn't privy to certain information. It's these guys know what they're doing.
Yeah, we know those guys. They're the ones that take the superhero comic books and make movies out of them, and they don't really know what everybody does. It's like, suddenly, these people have new powers, and like, what happened to that guy?
Well, didn't you know Spider-Man always had flight?
Now, he glides now. When did that happen? He's got wings. I'm like, what happened? I don't know. I'm all messed up. I'm scared of the new Spider-Man. We'll see how it works out. I like the Vulture, though. He looks really cool.
Okay.
So if you can make the Vulture not suck, you're head and shoulders right there.
I'm still waiting for my Question movie, so.
Yeah, oh, no, not the Question. The guy with no face.
Yeah, man. He's the best.
But yeah, okay. I don't even want to go there. I don't even want to talk about. It was a great book for a while, but He fought people like the crazy guys, the clown dudes.
Yeah.
No. But, all right. So, back to, there was something else we had talked about earlier, and I really want to hit on this because one of the things you got to keep in mind is that with role-playing games, tabletop games, there's genres, there's themes. And like Pathfinder is fantasy. It's dragons and warriors and wizards, and, you know, you fight the monster, you get the gold, you take it out. And so they've got another one that they're coming out with relatively soon called Starfinder, and it uses a similar structure. You can tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So whereas Pathfinder is all of your fantasy stuff, all your fantasy tropes are getting in there, Starfinder is Paizo's new attempt at doing sci-fi. I prefer to think of it more as like space opera, kind of a la Star Wars.
Okay.
But it's coming out actually in August is when they're releasing the core rulebook for that.
Making me be patient. I'm being patient.
Yeah, you're gonna have to wait. They should be releasing it at Gen Con actually.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense, I guess.
So I know I'm gonna get my hands on it. They haven't released too much information about it yet. A lot of it is still being worked on. But it's basically going to be Pathfinder in space.
I just pictured the whole pigs in space.
Pigs in space.
Yeah.
The cool thing about it is they've decided to go ahead and if they're going to do space stuff, they're going to do space stuff. So you're going to have starship battles.
Oh, that would be nice.
So you're going to be able to have your starship fly in and start beating down on other people. If you want to just get down to the nitty-gritty of the individual fighters, you can do that. There's going to be interplanetary transportation.
Okay. So like a la Stargate or
Yeah. You can do pretty much every sci-fi trope with it.
Oh, okay.
If you want to do the Star Trek thing of boldly going where no one has gone before and just checking out new civilizations, planets that haven't been checked out yet, there's a lot of opportunity for that.
Oh, okay.
So for anyone who wanted to get their sci-fi on, Starfinder's coming out, and that'll be a lot of fun.
Now that's not going to run with Society yet.
No, currently there are no plans. The society is run by just a couple of people on Paizo's end, and so they work full time on getting society stuff out for us, and they do a spectacular job of it.
Yeah.
But in order to do stuff for Starfinder as well, they basically need to double their staff.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Bring more people in.
Yeah. So currently on the books there are no plans, but who knows what the future will hold.
I'm all for the future.
I've heard a lot of people wanting it. A lot of people have, like the number one question every time Starfinder news comes out, like the first immediate question is, Starfinder Society?
Well, for years there was the Starfleet people. Then they had their little ships.
Yeah.
And they would meet and they would do social things and stuff like that. So it might be something to move into, but I think it's wise they get the game out, make sure that they work out all the bugs on it, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
What else we got? We have the mini books. That was kind of interesting.
Oh yeah. So Paizo has put out a lot of product for Pathfinder. The cool thing about Pathfinder is it can be as simple or as complex as you really want it to be. Let me be super unprofessional and just bend right over.
I make faces behind it.
I make faces behind everything.
Look, shiny.
Yeah, shiny. Yeah. Try to reduce that glare for you.
There you go.
There we go. So this is our core rule book. This book by itself will get you
playing
100% of everything you need right in this book.
Yeah.
So the cool thing about it is it's got everything you want. It's got all of your fantasy races in there. You've got your elves, your dwarves, your gnomes. If you just want to play a human, go for it.
Why would anybody do that?
Why would I play myself?
Well, because you get bonus feats.
Because you get bonus feats. I get a floating +2 to an attribute.
That's right. I can put whatever I want.
So this book will get you everything you need. But sometimes you want to run an adventure that's a little more specific. Sometimes just generic fantasy isn't enough. And so they've put out a whole bunch of stuff for that. And what I brought with me is actually one of my favorite supplements they put out recently, Occult Adventures.
Oh, wow.
So they've got several books like this that follow the blank adventures tagline.
Okay.
And they're all books that give you additional rules for playing campaigns themed after that thing. So in Occult Adventures, this is all of your psychic phenomena.
Okay.
This is ghost hunting. This is checking out psychic mediums. So it's got all the rules and stuff for playing adventures like that.
Cool. I need to get that one. I don't have that one yet.
Yeah, and the cool thing is they give a bunch of options not only for the game master to run their stuff, but also for the players.
Oh, yeah.
So the players are able to play classes specific to that genre. So whereas in the
psionics in there?
the psychic, the kineticist is in there, so you can just like chuck fire around all the time.
Yeah, I saw the pre-generated character for that. That
Yeah.
was devastating. I was
Oh
like,
yeah,
oh, I
yeah,
want
it's
to play that.
awesome. So whereas as your core rulebook will have your typical fantasy type characters, for any of you who have played any like fantasy video games like Dragon Age or anything, you're pretty familiar with the typical like fighter, a wizard, a cleric who's a priest who fights on behalf of their deity.
I'm still working on monks.
On monks, yeah.
Anytime I'm like, we're gonna play and it'll be monks. I'm like, oh, because it's not Friar Tuck monk. It's Shaolin monk. I'm like,
You can do the total Friar Tuck thing.
yeah, but then I don't get all the bonuses to hit people.
No. Just use all the same rules and just
Just make him a little dude. And
yeah, just be a little fat dude with a bald head.
Yeah. Little beanie.
Yeah, it shouldn't be hard.
Yeah.
So whereas as the core rulebook has all those typical fantasy classes that you're used to, Occult Adventures here will have things like your psychic, who uses the power of their mind to manipulate the world around them. They have the kineticist, who does the whole lifting up objects and throwing them around thing.
I'm too lazy for that.
One of my favorites out of this book is the medium. The medium actually channels spirits of the dead, legendary heroes, to take on their powers. And so the cool thing about that class is you're not really locked in
So you can
to
like
anything.
go like a fighter.
Yeah,
or something,
yeah, exactly.
And then suddenly you're a fighter type character.
Yeah, so you can be more like a fighter one day, you can be more like a cleric the next day, more like a wizard the next, and so it gives you a lot of options.
That's cool.
Yep. So for our GMs out there, our game masters, Paizo has also...
He caught me that time.
Hey. Paizo has also put out a bunch of really great stuff. They've put out entire pre-written modules. This one's a really great one called Doom Comes to Dustpawn. It's actually written by a North Carolina native, Mike Weldon.
Oh, cool.
Really great guy. So the entire adventure is all written for you. So if you're new to GMing, if you're not prepped for an adventure, crack this open, you're good to go.
Yeah, I mean, those kinds of things are great to have because, you're trying to run a campaign, you need ideas. And so even after you've run it, like the town, the people, the things they met in it, you could always fall back to that. So having the resources on your shelf and just being able to pull it back out and say, well, we're going back to Dustpawn because they've got a new problem. And
Yeah. And the cool thing about them is you can run them potentially in a single play session with you and your friends. It can even buy you a couple of sessions. So if you're doing some big main storyline and you just kind of need a week or two to kind of break, bust out a module, have at it.
Yeah.
But also for our game masters who want to do that big long adventure where we're playing for over a year on this big grand adventure doing epic things, Pathfinder has you covered. As I mentioned earlier, we have adventure paths.
Oh, yes.
Yes, they're 6-chapter setups, each one with a different storyline. Here we have Mummy's Mask, because it's a favorite of mine.
Now, all of this, when we look at Pathfinder, it's all in one world.
Yes.
So you can learn about one area doing one path.
Oh, yes,
and
yes,
then you can
certainly.
learn about another one.
Yeah, so Pathfinder has its own lore. It takes place on the planet of Golarion, and there are different regions all throughout, and each one has its own history. And the adventure paths take place in different regions, and they give you a lot of that insight.
And there's also novels too.
Yes, actually, Tor Publishing now has taken over the publishing of all their novels. Really good books.
They're good for, if you're an avid reader, and as far as like helping run the thing, it gives you a better sense of the world, so that when you're running the game, you understand like where your people are at or what's going on. And I just added so much flavor to being able to do that.
Yeah, I actually recently finished up rereading Pirate's Prophecy. It's the third book in a trilogy that's been written. I really enjoy them because pirates are cool. But the cool thing about Pathfinder is there's a trope for everybody. Mm-hmm. If you're into your pirates, there's the Shackles region.
Yep.
If you're super into into like the American Revolution, if you're kind of like a history nerd, there's the country of Andorran, which kind of mimics Revolutionary War and actually Civil War United States.
Okay.
If you're super into like murder mysteries, there are entire adventures just for you. If you're super into the Transylvania, Count Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, and all that, there's the country of Ustalov, which is just all that.
I've been there. It was not a good weekend.
It was not
a good weekend. And my producer almost got us killed because he's that guy. He just wouldn't back up.
Yeah, my Yelp review of Ustalov, 1 star.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Unfriendly people.
Don't eat there. No.
No.
Don't go there.
But outside of the novels, they do also publish a bunch of other material. Their companion line and goodness, it's one of their other lines. I can't remember things today. Goes over.
It's that.
Yeah, it's stuff like this. They'll go over individual countries in the game and talk about them in depth.
And there's like bonuses, there's like feats and things that you can only get in these books.
These books also give your character options. So if you want a character from, say, Taldor, this book specifically has a bunch of really cool options for you. There's classes that only Taldans can gain access to. There are feats, which are extraordinary abilities your character can do that Taldans traditionally do. All kinds of really cool stuff.
And it adds depth to the character. It's one of those things when a lot of games, like role-playing games or like computer games, they're basically by the nose. No matter what class you choose, what good or evil, whatever race, you end up following a preset series of events. Pathfinder Society and these kinds of things allow you to make the character yours.
Yes, absolutely.
And so, while you're going from module to module, they seem like you're going through these chains of events. You can choose what chain of events you want to go through. So you're not stuck to a path. The path is the path you set along the way.
Yeah. And one of the big challenges I found that new players have, it's analysis paralysis. There's all kinds of options for you, but you just don't know what option to take.
But they have a beginner set.
Yeah, they do have a beginner set.
It's just like a box set, and it's just and that is to kind of help people get through that.
Yeah, actually, that beginner box is one of the best buys I've ever found. It's got everything you need to get started. It's really good for beginning players and beginning game masters. It's got a flip mat in there. It's a piece of plastic that you can draw maps on, and actually one side is already a pre-generated map for you that takes you through an adventure. It's all pre-written, all the characters are already done. You just open it up, hand stuff out, start playing. And that's really
what
good.
A lot of people need. I mean, because now we're in that society, and we need people to put down the phones, and we need our kids to look at us, and that's what we do.
Yeah, and sometimes you just need a little extra help teaching your friends.
Okay. All right, so we're down to like the last 2 minutes, and so I have to ask the important questions.
Sure.
Marvel or DC?
DC.
All right, see, I still like him. DC. What's the best character in DC?
The Question, absolutely, 100%.
See, you went back to the Question.
I'm sorry. He wins.
He wins, but yeah, okay. What did you think about when they made the Question a woman?
Actually, I didn't really mind it. I thought it was a really interesting story arc.
That she was Batwoman's girlfriend. That was cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah,
dude,
that took it to a whole
super
other level.
cool.
I was like, I'm cool with that.
And actually, I thought it was really interesting that she decided to headquarter in North Carolina.
Oh yeah,
Hey, it's a theme.
there's a theme.
But no, I didn't mind it so much. I still have a soft spot for the original question, but
Oh, yeah.
I'll take the question in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I liked how they brought those characters. I think they were all Fawcett comics, and they brought the Blue Beetle over, and they brought over the Question. They never brought the Runner over. He disappeared in the Crisis, and we never saw him again. And there was one other, Captain Atom. He was also part of that group. And so their world merged with the others back in the 80s. So yeah, I'm a really, really old nerd.
Yeah.
But I just want to thank you for coming today.
No problem.
And we'll talk about it. And honestly, check out the gaming stores or the hobby stores in your town.
Absolutely.
Find the society. Get out there because, nerds need friends too.
Paizo.com/Pathfinder Society. Find your local group.
Yeah, or just Google Pathfinder Society and you'll find it.
Yeah. Or go down to your local game store.
Yeah,
Either
that's
one
how
works.
I found him.
Yep.
Yeah, I was, actually, no, I met you at the library con.
I was not there. So
Oh
you
no,
did not
they
meet
told me
me.
to come see you.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah. I knew
Okay.
there was a
They stalked
connection
me.
to. Yeah, and that's just throwing a little bit to the Fayetteville Library Con. That's a good place. No, I wasn't stalking you. I forgot actually. I just walked in and was like, oh, that's that
I'm just a
dude.
popular guy.
Yeah, well, your shirt said Pathfinder.
Yeah, I'm hard to miss.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again, Jonathan, Nick, Pathfinder Society. Come see us.